What's up, everybody? Good late afternoon, or for some of you, early evening. And we got one more cornerback video to get through today. One more cornerback group. We're going to finish up the projected second rounders. We still have a few more of those to get through. So let's just go ahead and get right into it here with a guy that I actually like a pretty good amount here. In fact, I'm going to say this. I like all three guys in this video more than the two guys in the previous video. But we're going to start with TJ Tampa of Iowa State, the Cyclones. 22 when the season starts. He's 6'1", 189 pounds, 32 and an 1/8 inch arms, which in this class actually stands out as one of the lengthier corners we've seen. 9 5/8 hands. Big boards, mostly they put him in the second. CBS puts him in the third. Walter puts him in the fourth. The aggregate puts him in the late second. That seems to be about where he's generally projected. 2 years of pretty decent production, not elite or anything like that, but 84 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 3 picks, 16 passes defensed. Pretty good PFF grades, although it did step back a little bit in 2023, but overall, pretty good production. He's good in zone, holds up well in zone duties. His click and close speed is a plus when he needs to go break on the ball when he's in his back pedal, and he needs to just plant and go forward. He's good at it. He's got length, which allows him to get involved on most passes that go his way. He's able to stick his hand in there and disrupt the pass where a less lengthy corner wouldn't be able to. He seems to have pretty good speed. He keeps up well on vertical routes with his deep speed. He reads routes and processes them correctly. He's good at understanding what is going on in front of him, especially when he's in zone. He's good at passing guys off to the other defenders, or maybe jumping on a route that's a little outside of his zone, because he has good cerebral understanding of what's going on with the play. He's not afraid to come up and make tackles. He's somebody who's willing to stick his nose in there and run support and make a play. So I think he'll fit right in with the Mike McDonald defense. And he plays physically. He's got a physical coverage style. He plays tough. So there is a lot to like with TJ Tampa. I'm mostly impressed with him. I will say I don't think he's good enough of a short area change of direction athlete to stick with receivers in man coverage. So I think that part of NFL defense will be a little bit lost to him. I don't think he's going to be able to hang with receivers in man. His transitions when he flips his hips are clunky. So you want to generally, I think, prevent him from having to do that stuff. What you want to do is put him in situations where he can just stay facing the quarterback, facing the ball, facing the line of scrimmage, and make plays from zone. If you do that, I think you're going to be very happy with what TJ Tampa gives you as a player. So I like him. I think that he's going to be really good in zone, and I think that Mike McDonald would understand that, and I think he'd be cool with that. So I'm actually pretty up on this one. I understand that corner is not the biggest need, but I also think he'd be a nice fit for what we're trying to do here. I would personally put him somewhere in the middle second round, a little bit higher than the aggregate. Not quite as high as PFF, but higher than most of the other big boards that I've seen him on. I like him a little bit more than the average. I just think he's a good fit, right? He can come up and play the run. That's what we need in a cornerback. He can play zone. That's most of what we need. McDonald's a heavy zone guy. So, a lot that I like with TJ Tampa. Next guy is going to be another guy that I've been kind of circling for a while now. Mike Sainristil. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Mike Sainristil of Michigan. The Wolverines. Had a really interesting season, really interesting combine, really interesting all-around specimen. Excuse me. 23, 5'9", 182 pounds. So he is small. Sub 31-inch arm, so he is a little bit on the less lengthy side of things. 8.5-inch hands. And that, I think, paints something of a picture of him as a player. Decent 40. Good 10-yard split. Big vert. Really big broad. 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle was really good, though. Almost 4 seconds flat. And 14 bench press reps. So there's some good, some bad, but it's definitely more good than bad with his testing. Big boards, they pretty much all put him in the second or third round. I think Walter puts him in the fourth. But the aggregate puts him at 51st overall, so he's mid-second. Been productive these last 2 years. Over 100 tackles, 10.5 for loss, 3 sacks, 7 picks, 6 in the most recent year, 13 passes defensed, couple forced fumbles last year. PFF grades have been fairly good. The thing to remember with Sainristil, he just got to here, man. He just got here. He was a receiver until 2 years ago. So he's brand new to the position, all things considered. He just started with this cornerback stuff. And he does a really good job of transferring his abilities from receiver over to cornerback. And that's the main asset that he brings to the table here. So when you're thinking about Sainristil, a couple different things. He's going to get better because he's only been playing this position for 2 years. He's extremely smart. He has a deep understanding of things like routes. He understands how to read the offensive play and turn that information into productive actions on his part. And he's got the ball skills of a receiver because he used to be one. Those are the 3 things that Sainristil is really bringing to the table here that should excite you. So you put this guy in zone, let him face the offense, let him look at the play as it's developing, and you've got something. So I think if you put him in a zone scheme, you're going to be really happy with the results. He's going to be really good at diagnosing what the offense is doing. And, I mean, on the Michigan secondary, he was a leader for that group. He would tell people where to be. He would tell people what was coming. That was something that he really brought to the table that helped that Michigan defense be so good. Because he could just read stuff. He's also really good blitzing off the edge. He has 3 sacks over the last 2 years. And he's been a productive blitzer outside of just the sacks as well. Now, he is smaller. I wonder if he'll just be a slot corner in the NFL. He might be relegated to nickel only. He's not got the reactive athleticism to hang in man coverage. A 7-second 3-cone is a problem when you're trying to hang in man. And bigger receivers kind of eat his lunch because he's not all that strong. So there are some concerns with Sainristil, for sure. He might be limited to doing zone-only slot in the NFL. He might be a slot-only zone corner. That's very possible. Narrow use case. But in that role, I think he'll be really good. His ball skills are very valuable. I think that his awareness is extremely valuable. And that a good team with a good coaching staff, good defensive coaches, should be able to find a way to implement this guy in a way that is productive. So I'd say middle second round 2. And I know that seems high for a guy that's only bringing a limited amount of value to the table. But I think what he is good at is so good that we gotta give some flowers here. So, Sainristil, very intriguing. I wish he was a little bit bigger, but there's still a place for him in this league for sure. Okay, we're going to do one more guy for this video, one more guy for today. It's Max Melton. And yes, there is a relation. He is the younger brother of Bo Melton, who we drafted a couple years ago. He's not here anymore, but we did draft his brother. Rutgers, same college, 22 years old. 5'11", 187, so a little bit bigger than Sainristil. Still not big, but he's got long arms, 32 1/8. Long arms relative to this class. 9 1/8 hands. Tested great. Really good 40, sub 4.4. 1.5, 110 yard split is really good too. Monstrous vert and one of the best broads ever for a corner. 11 feet 4 inches. That's pretty off the charts. That's one of the best explosive scores we've ever seen. And the big boards, they put him in the 3rd, they put him in the 2nd, back and forth. The aggregate currently has him just barely hanging on in the 2nd round, and I think that's a fairly reasonable expectation for where Max Melton will end up going. Not a ton of production the last 2 years, but he does have 5 interceptions. He does have 6 tackles for loss, 65 tackles total, 16 passes defensed. PFF grades are decent, workable, solid. So, it's not over the top great, but it's pretty good. But you are definitely looking more as a projection for Melton. What can he do knowing how good of an athlete he is rather than what has he done? So what I can say about Melton in the positive, he's really good coming up to support against the run. His ability to tackle and his ability to come up and get involved in run support are both really good. He can do man coverage. He's got reactive athleticism to move the way you need to move in man to keep up with a receiver running his route. And he also has field awareness, so he can do zone. He also has the ability to hit his milestones, get in the right place, and react the right way to what he sees in front of him the way you need to in his own defense. He can also jam at the line of scrimmage. He can bump at the line of scrimmage to disrupt. He actually really likes to jam. That's one of his favorite things to do. He does have the long arms to do it. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's got a really high motor, never stops running, never question his effort. And I think he'll offer slot versatility. He'll be able to play a little bit on the outside and a little bit on the inside for whoever drafts him. So I think you're getting a little bit of both sides of it with Max Melton. I do think sometimes he goes a little over the top with his physicality, like he'll be trying to hit his jam so hard that if the receiver slips him, it's over. Because he committed so hard to the chuck that if the receiver slips it, he's going to get wide open. So I think there was a little bit of over-aggressive stuff in his tape, just a little bit. His ball skills are... Sometimes he struggles to find the ball in the air. The ball production has not been bad. 5 picks and 16 passes defensed in 2 years is good. But I feel like sometimes he doesn't find the ball in the air you would like the way you would like him to. And his hip flipping is just a little bit awkward. Doesn't look very natural, doesn't look very fluid. So I do suspect that he will have things to offer in zone and man. But he's not exactly perfect for either situation. So I'm intrigued by the all-around versatility. I think his athletic profile would do slightly better in man, but his awkward hip flipping makes me wonder if he'll be better in zone, admittedly. So I think that this story is yet to be written. So I'm looking at all the things he does bring to the table, and I'm like, I think this is one of the underrated players in this draft. Not by a ton, but by a little. I think he's an early second-round pick. I really like Melton. I'm impressed. I like him more than most. I would take him in the early second and feel pretty good about that. This kind of athleticism doesn't come around that often. All right, that's it for this video. That's it for today. See you guys tomorrow or maybe tonight on Twitch. Go Hawks.